Hi YouTube, Brian here. Just wanted to do a quick video on potting up St. Paulia or African violet leaf cuttings after they've grown. I took some leaf cuttings off of a friend's African violet a little while back and honestly kept them a little bit too long. They've grown into fairly nice little plants just here in a little 4-inch pot where I took the cuttings. It's definitely time for these to be potted up into their own pots. They'll grow a lot faster. We can get a little bit more nutrition into them. They're probably in fairly old soil by now. It's probably fairly nutrient depleted. So what we'll do is start by just gently knocking these out of the pot. Now, there are a couple of plants in here. You can see nice little crowns here. We'll start by separating one of those out gently. Just sort of tease in between just to try and keep the roots. Any old leaves at the bottom here can just be pulled away and discarded. Now, traditionally these would always be grown just one crown to a pot. So each of these has a couple of plants. What I'm going to do is, you can see here there are 2 crowns. I'm gently going to pry this smaller one away. Set that aside. I've now got a nice sized plant here. I'm going to put it in the slightly larger plant here into a nice 4-inch pot. I've got a mixture of sort of a peat-based African violet soil, so there's a little bit of compost, some peat moss. I put a little bit of perlite and a little bit of volcanic pumice in there just for the nutrients. I would say proportion-wise, you're looking at about 2 parts compost, 2 parts peat moss, and 1 part of pumice or perlite or both. Just to add a little bit more air to it. You could also add some really fine orchid bark to a mix like this. I use this one because it's sort of general purpose. It'll work for my begonias and other plants as well. So I'm just going to start by partly filling the pot up here, making a little space in the center for the root ball of the African violet to go. And we'll just gently fill in around the sides. Now, when you're potting plants up like this, what you immediately want to do out of habit is to push down on the soil all around. What that's going to end up doing is actually severing all the nice little roots that you have in there. So you want to gently push on the outside away from where the root ball was. You can give it a light push. Gently, gently tamp around the plant. Don't be pushing down really hard. And that will keep those roots intact, and then just a nice water will settle the soil in around the roots and stop you from compressing them too much. Your plant will have less transplant shock that way. I'll set that one aside. And what we'll do, for this little plant that was left, I don't really want to put something that small into a 4-inch pot, so I'm just going to take a little 2 1/4 here, and I'll put it in here just to get it going. And once it's established a little more, I can give that to a friend. So there we go. Just gently pushing around at the edges, making sure that it's firm enough to hold the plant in, but not pushing down enough to break off roots. Of course, if you know the variety of the African violet that you're working with, make sure you put a label in the pot. But otherwise, this one's just a little unknown from a friend, so I'll set those aside. And I'll work on the other plants here in just a few moments. Hope that was helpful. Take care.